the founder and CEO of Founderspace, which is a world-leading startup accelerator. He's known as Captain Hoff in Silicon Valley. I would love to hear more about that. And he's also going to tell us today, he's going to talk about brain hacking and mind tech. So welcome, Stephen. Thank you for being here.
Great to be here. So today I will talk about connecting your brain to the internet. And if this sounds like science fiction to you, it's actually not. It's actually happening today in labs around the world. I have been a consultant on some very large projects in this area with major corporations that you would know. And I've also worked with a lot of startups here. And this talk goes not only into my personal experience, but also what will happen in the future when we make this leap and actually connect our brains to the internet. So let me share my screen with you. So I am the CEO and captain of Founderspace. We are a global startup incubator and accelerator, work all over the world. We have 50 partners in 22 countries. And Founderspace has won many awards. We have been ranked by Forbes magazine as the #1 accelerator for overseas startups. The same with Entrepreneur magazine. And I am the author of 3 books. The first, Make Elephants Fly, is about innovation. The second, Surviving a Startup, is everything entrepreneurs need to know to survive and grow their companies. And the third, which is coming out right now, The 5 Forces, includes, it's all about the future and how technology will change the future. And what I'm going to talk about today is in the book and much more. So brain hacking and mind tech. The first thing you should know is that this technology has been used for years in the laboratory with monkeys. So for example, at Duke University, they have put chips in the brains of monkeys. So just by thinking, the monkeys can control a robotic arm and feed themselves. If that sounds amazing, hear what else Duke did. So they actually connected 2 rats by putting chips in their brains. Now these 2 rats, the one on the left and the one on the right, are in different cities. So their brains are connected through the internet. Now one of the rats, they taught how to get food. When it sees a light, it learned that it can press a button and be rewarded with treats. The other rat did not have this information. However, instantly, as the first rat learned this, the other rat also learned how to do it and could replicate that and get food for itself. Now, what did they do in this experiment? What they did was actually transfer information from one living being to another living being through the internet by connecting their brains. Think about that. Now, they're not just doing this with rats. They are also doing it with humans. So at Brown University, they have an experiment they've been running called BrainGate. And this is where they're taking stroke victims who are completely paralyzed, and they're actually putting chips in their brain so that just by thinking, these people can feed themselves with a robotic arm, they can control an iPad or an iPhone just by thinking, and they can even send messages from their brain directly over the internet. Now, Elon Musk has been promising through his company Neurallink that he is going to develop the technology to put a brain in everybody's head, a chip in everybody's brain. I said it wrong. But this technology is still experimental. So for most people, they do not want a chip in their brain. I don't, I'll tell you that. However, Elon Musk is going to target the initial people will be people with medical conditions, whether they have Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, they've suffered a stroke. If putting a chip, implanting that in their brain can help them, then those people, there is a strong case to do so. However, there are other companies that really want to take this technology mass market. One of them is Facebook. And you can look out there and see why Facebook wants to do this, why they're putting money into this. Basically, the first company to develop a way to connect people's brains to the internet without putting chips inside, a non-invasive way, maybe just a cap or a helmet that people wear, or better yet, a pair of sunglasses, which I have seen in development that contain little electrodes that can measure people's brain waves and actually connect them to the internet. If the first company that does this and develops the software and platform to run it, they will control the internet. Think about it. Right now, all of us use phones to connect to the internet. They're clunky, they're slow, we have to type on them. It takes time. If we can just think and access information on the internet instantly, what we will be doing is we will have a tool that is so much faster and so much more effective than today's smartphones. And the company that controls this brain operating system will be like the Microsoft, Google, or Apple of the future. So I will tell you, all the major corporations are working on this. Now, what is the promise of actually connecting your brain to the internet? First of all, you can imagine a world where you can download information just by thinking. You don't need to have gone to school and memorized a bunch of facts. Literally, if you think, what is this? It will come down into your brain and you will know it, just as if you retrieved it from memory. That is the key. If we can make a seamless experience, it could be amazing. We could potentially even learn languages in our sleep by downloading the information. We could do all sorts of computations. Basically, our brain is very limited, but the processing power around the world is enormous. To leverage that, to leverage the storage in the cloud for our tasks that we have to complete in our life would be transformational. We may also be able to record our dreams. Remember, your brain is always working, and if we can tap into the brain, we could actually extract information, record it, and maybe when we have two-way communication, we can actually manipulate your dreams. You could actually program your dreams to be amazing experiences or educational experiences. Even further down the line is we may be able to actually transmit from one being to another memories and emotions. Now think about this. Everything that goes on inside your head is literally electric signals. These are just signals from firings of neurons and chemical reactions. If we can figure out the code for this, if we can decode how the mind works and build a true brain operating system, perhaps we could translate the memories of one person into signals and transfer them to another. Imagine, connecting to your grandparents and actually experiencing, not just hearing their stories, but experiencing their memories. Imagine connecting to loved ones and actually not just feeling what you feel about them, but feeling their emotions. Now, this can be very strange. It will be an entirely new experience for humankind, and it can create a lot of problems. For example, if your spouse goes out and comes home late and you think that they've been having an affair, instead of asking them, you could say, show me, let me look into your brain. Now, what do people do in this situation? What do we become as a species as our brains merge together through the internet? Some scientists are talking about a brain net. Now, imagine the cloud today. It's made up of a lot of processors all spread out around the world that can be joined together like AWS and actually have enormous power. What happens when we plug the human brain into this? Billions of human brains processing, distributing information. Do we become one giant being at that point? What is humanity? Now, we can get into the deep philosophical questions about the brain and human beings and what is it to be an individual? Because being an individual, a lot of our individual is based that we have our own unique experience. But as we merge with other people by connecting with them through the internet, suddenly their experiences become our experiences. We could potentially even look through someone else's eyes, see what they're seeing, feel what they're feeling, feel the touch, smell what they're smelling. All of these can be translated eventually into signals that we could download into our brains and experience. Now, this may sound strange to you and it may sound impossible, but they have already created artificial ears, cochlear implants that can actually hear. It's not your real ear, but it's basically taking the pulses, sound waves, and converting them into signals and sending them right into your nerves in your brain. They've even created artificial eyes. So there's no reason we couldn't take signals from other living beings, whether they are humans or animals, and actually connect to those. Imagine putting a chip in the brain of a dolphin and then feeling what it's like to swim through the ocean. How would that feel? Like the possibilities are enormous. Imagine putting a chip inside the brain of a bird and experiencing what it is to fly. Would this be possible? I don't know. And this is way out there in the future, but it's something I want you to think about. Then there is the potential to actually live outside our bodies. Once our brains are connected to the internet, why should we be contained in a single body? Why can't we not only see through other people's eyes, but create robots with extraordinary vision that could see in the ultraviolet spectrum, that could hear sounds we never hear, that could go places we never go, under the sea or to Mars, other planets, and we could inhabit them by connecting directly to their brains and actually using them as surrogate bodies that we could live through and have experiences that are entirely outside our Umwelt, which is our realm, our sensory realm, where we can experience things that no human has ever experienced before. Now, if all this sounds wonderful to you, there is a dark side. Like with all technology, brain-computer interfaces have problems. The first is, what if somebody hacks your brain? It's not like today where they can steal your identity online and maybe ruin your credit record. If they hack your actual brain, they could steal you. They could steal your identity, like yourself, because they could essentially implant memories into your brain that you don't have, delete memories from your brain potentially, and potentially control you. They have already done this experiments in the lab. They've had a human with a brain-computer interface on and a rat with a chip in its brain, and the human could control the rat through a maze, and the rat didn't even know it was being controlled. It thought it was in charge. So if this technology, if we start implanting chips in our brains or wearing these non-invasive brain-computer interfaces every day, imagine what we are exposing ourselves to. Potentially nefarious players in the world could control us, whether they're hackers, governments, corporations. Do we trust Facebook or a government with access to our brains and to ourselves? That is a question society must ask before we take this leap. So on one side, there is the nirvana, the heaven of connecting all of humanity and gaining superhuman powers and abilities. On the other side, there is hell, where we give up our identity, we give up our free will, and we literally have no protections. We as a society must face these questions before this technology is deployed, because I will tell you, the technology is coming. I have seen it. It is developing very fast. It is only a matter of time before this technology hits the mass market. 10 years? I don't know, but it will come within our lifetimes. So we must answer these questions and prepare to answer these questions right away. So if you enjoyed this talk, I feel free to reach out to me. You can reach out to me at founderspace.com. That you can contact me there. I'm also on all the social networks. Just search for Founderspace. And if you want to know more about my thoughts on this technology and how it will impact humanity and other technologies, check out my brand new book, The 5 Forces That Change Everything. It's just coming out, and I really go deep on this subject because, as you can tell, I'm very passionate about it.
Well,
Thank you.
thank you so much for being here, Stephen. This is very interesting. I really encourage everyone to check out your new book. Thank you so much for being here and for monitoring your own time. You did great. Interject at all. That made my job very easy. So thank you again, Stephen. And
My pleasure.
appreciate you being here.
Great.